to Ningzengele again. If you coming across this YouTube channel for the first time, welcome. And if you're coming back again, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being there for me and for supporting me every day. Thank you so much. Remember to share, subscribe, and set the notification bell, and like or dislike the video. Thank you so much. Right now, today, as you can see, I'm busy here covering my son's books. I'll be talking to you while I'm doing my motherly duties. So I am covering my son's books while I'm busy talking to you. I hope you are not bothered by that, because I've got lots of things that are just, on my shoulders. So I thought, let me just do this video while I'm doing this. Let me hit two birds with one stone. Thank you so much for, I hope that you are understanding. Thank you. So what I would like to talk to you about today's topic is the most dreaded topic ever. We have the most dreaded topic, which we haven't discussed much, but remembering that my YouTube channel is more about gender-based violence and femicide. Today I want us to talk about another sector of the gender-based violence, which is the rapes that are happening in the country. Every 3 minutes there is a woman that is being raped. More than anyone else, the children are raped as well. And that bothers me so much. Particularly when schools are open like this, because we have seen the last year's stats that children between the age of 10 and 18, the stats of the pregnant children were scary. They shocked the whole country, and remembering that those states were only for Gauteng. And it's not just Gauteng that is affected by such states. We do know that we've got 9 provinces. Maybe Gauteng was the one that recorded first, or maybe it was the highest that recorded such a highest number. But we also do know that other provinces as well have got the very same problem. Now you ask yourself, if a child that is between, there are 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds that gave birth last year. How does that happen? How does a 9-year-old get pregnant? How does a 10-year-old get pregnant? People were asking, some were asking, some were like, the stats cannot be right, because really it is impossible for a 9-year-old to be pregnant. Actually, it is highly very possible, because many children have started their pubic stage or puberty stage much earlier than us. Our stages of puberty started between 12 and 19. I know some of my friends that started their periods very late, when they were 19. But these days we find that children as young as 7, we can already see the little bumps on their chests. So that should tell you that puberty has started. And if a 7-year-old puberty stage can start, then it is highly likely that a 9-year-old can be pregnant, because by the time they are 9, their bodies are ready for menstruation. And each time a child is already ready for menstruation, then that means they are ready to be pregnant. Now, let's talk about how does that happen, because people think these children are way beyond their means. They are way beyond in terms of their sexuality and so on. I would like to say maybe some of them are, but I still want to attribute what happened to those 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds and even up to 16-year-olds. Majority of them is rape and statutory rape. When does statutory rape happen? Statutory rape happens on if a person has sex with a child that is between 16 and anything less than that. That is statutory rape. Therefore, we're saying children who are 16 and below cannot consent to sex. So if you are 18 and older and you are busy having sex with a child, even if the child has allowed you to, we disregard that consent. That is no consent. That child cannot give consent. That child is a child. Can we please allow our children to be children? What's wrong with South African men? How come you see women on the children? What is so wrong? What have we done wrong? What was done wrong to you for you not to see that these children are children? Because really a 9-year-old must have been 8 by the time they are raped for them to give birth at 9. What 8-year-old can give consent to sex? So what is wrong with our country? And I don't think there is a 10-year-old boy that is virile and fertile enough to make a 9-year-old, 8-year-old girl pregnant. So it is these adults, these men. And one other story that hit me so bad and took me back to my own pain was the story that I heard a few days ago of a child that is about 3 years or 4, whose father had been having sex with her. We live in a sick world. To have fathers who don't know that they have to be fathers to their children, but they see their daughters as sex partners, it is sickening. It is very sickening. And most of the time, there are family members that are noticing things and they are not saying anything. Because I remember that in this story, the people that stepped up were neighbors. It cannot just be neighbors who are noticing that before the family members do. So somebody in the family must have noticed and said nothing, kept quiet. Do you see where this is driving us? This is driving us to a point where we are going to fight to say no father should be allowed to raise their children. And that is not fair, because it's not all men who are animals. There is not all men who do not respect their children. There is not all men who are sick in the mind to make their own children their own wives. So now there are men who are going to suffer because of the men that do not know how to behave, or because of the men that are wired differently to be predators. We have men who are predators. They even predate against their own flesh and blood. And I do know this for sure. Like, I do know that exists. I've seen it many times. I've even seen it in my own family, that it does happen. And when you say it, people think you are sick. People think you are a liar. You are a pathological liar. It's not possible. Guys, when are we gonna learn that it is possible for a biological father to see a child, their own very child, as a sex partner? It is very highly likely possible. It is not something that is like a figmentation of someone's imagination. It is certainly not. So when are we going to step up and stop all this nonsense? Men, when are you gonna call each other out? Because as men, I think when you visit each other, you can see things that are not normal with your friend. And within the talks, people who are sick as that, sometimes you can detect from the conversations they have with you. Now, what kind of conversations do you have with your friends as men? Now, when you feel like this conversation is not building, and this conversation is a conversation of a predator, even if it's not a person that's talking about their own child, but this person, in their conversation, you can tell that somehow they are attracted to a child that is very young of age, and they are declaring that to you as their friend. What do you do? Do you just sit there and laugh? Because even the jokes, you can tell in their jokes that these people, like, you can tell that this person is very sick because they can't find a certain joke funny, whereas you can tell that this is not normal. Like, if a person is going to joke about somebody that has smashed a small child, and laugh about it, that should tell you that there is something wrong here. And what do you do about it as a friend? Are we that afraid of confronting our friends because we are desperate for friendships, to a point where we just let people do as they please with children? I do know of some guy who used to brag about how his friend was having sex with underage children, and even giving them children, and even sometimes give them money for abortions. And I would ask this guy, what are you saying to that friend of yours? And he'd say, no, I keep telling him. But what can I say? But you could tell that actually, even himself, he didn't see anything wrong, to a point where he felt it needed urgent attention. Because really, such things need urgent attention. If a person is not going to listen to you, you cannot go around and brag about how your friend is busy taking advantage of underage children, and speak of it as if it's a normal thing in the world. And people, as our children are going back to school, we need to be alert, because even at school, our children are at risk. Our children are at risk at school because of other boys even primary boys who are now sexually conscious to a point where they can decide to take one girl and decide to rape that girl as a gang, because more than one person having sex with, it's now a gang rape. So many gang rapes are happening even in primary school. Even at primary school level, it does happen. So you cannot say my child is still too early for me to talk about or make them alert that at school they have to take care of themselves. You have to talk about those talks with your children, even if they are at primary. We need to alert our children, whether we like it or not. Whether we like it or not, these are kind of talks that we now have to engage in with our children. Whether they are boy children or girl children, we need to alert them that there is a habit that is like this, and it's a bad habit that can land. If it's a boy, tell them this habit can land you in trouble that can lead you to jail. They need to know from a very, very young age that it's a punishable offense. Even girl children, they need to know that, because there are those girls that are sexually conscious, normally due to being exposed to that by adults, because some of them were sexually violated as children, as young as they are, and they were made conscious by that. From then onwards, now they start practicing that on other children. So we need to let our children know of acceptable behaviors and unacceptable behaviors at school and everywhere in society in general. History has taught us that we can't be late. We have to be early now. We are forced to be early. We are forced to be early in our conversations with our children. We should never assume that they are still too young. So we are forced to do that. So if we haven't started, we absolutely have to start. And another issue, we also need to make sure that our children know that even the teachers are not supposed to treat them that way. Because unfortunately, even the teachers, there are teachers who are doing such things to children. Remember a story about a teacher and a principal that were doing that, were having sex with a learner, taking turns and even recording each other with a phone while doing it. Last year, I'm talking about last year. There have been many cases last year, just last year only, where educators were taking advantage of learners. And let me tell you something. It's not even the children who have engaged with teachers that are going to talk. You'll find that other children are coerced into doing that, and they feel ashamed after that, to a point where they cannot even say, teacher so and so did this to me. So it's not an easy thing to do. So our children in this country are in trouble. The women in this country are in trouble. We are all in trouble. Even the boys are in trouble. And we need to be beyond denial about it. There's no more space for us to say, hi, this is a taboo, we cannot be talking about it. Unfortunately, it's facing us, and it's like a monster that's facing us, red in the eyes, right in the eyes. It's facing us badly. So we absolutely have to face this head on too. It's bad. The situation is bad. You cannot trust anyone with your children. Even a neighbor. You can't trust your neighbor. You can't trust your own brothers. Women, wake up. Wake up. Please. Unfortunately, men, what I'm going to say now is not nice. Women, stop trusting even the fathers with your children. Unfortunately, because the ones that are sick are not written on the forehead. If they were written or indicated somehow on the forehead, we would say, please be alert, look out for this. So let's try by all means as women of this country to be hands-on when coming to our, particularly our daughters, even our boys, because they are not safe as well. There are bigger women who are taking advantage of boys, thinking that they've got to teach these boys sexual acts. So we always have to be alert. We live in a sick world. We don't know where to hide our children. We don't know where to hide ourselves. Except for talking and talking and talking non-stop about this. We need to be talking non-stop about this. Non-stop. Men, I'm begging you, please call each other out. How come us as women do know women who are raped and you don't know the men who are raping? As men, you don't know. You are forever not knowing who's raping who. Men, please, that cannot be happening. You do know. You do know. And when we hear about somebody has raped whoever, let us not rush to deny it. Let us not rush. Let's get facts first before we decide to side with them and say, hi, bayam sugela. He cannot be. No one is written on their face. No one is written on their forehead. So we absolutely have to listen to facts. Yes, it's true, and it cannot be denied that there are women who would want to get back at men for whatever reason. But we're talking a very small percentage. We're talking 1%. 1% of women who are cruel enough to make men who are not guilty serve sentences in prison for things they didn't do. That is 1%. What about the 99%? What about that 99%? What about all the women that are being raped? All the children that are being raped? And remember that each time a child is raped, it's not easy for the child to come and say, I was raped today. Most of the time, we discover after a very long time that our children were raped. Because it's not easy. And I think the courts of South Africa need to be, they need to be forced to know that, because they still want to make it light. If you did not report on time, then they start doubting your story. Even the magistrate will doubt your story. Why did you not say it on time? Why did you not say it while it happened? We all know that it's not easy to say it. So please, let's be on the lookout for behavior change in our children, because also it can tell a story. Let's also be on the lookout for behavior change on our friends, because it can also tell a story. I think, I don't know when, but I'll make sure I give some, we'll check what we can get on some, what to look for that can tell you that a child has been raped, what to look for. There are so many things that we need to look for that can be a telltale sign that something has happened to this child. So it's not just homeworks that we check from our children. We have a daunting task as parents. We have to check homework. We have to check our children's well-being. We've got to check that their safety at school was still fine every day. There's a lot that we're still gonna talk about this. But my point today was, men of South Africa, you are the biggest contributors to the rape that's happening in the country. Please call each other out. In your conversations, in the confessions that some of your friends are doing to you, call them out. In the behaviors that you see that you can pick up from your friends, call each other out. You can do a lot just by calling each other out. You can reach your friend deeply by just calling him out. He can be angry at you for a certain period of time, but one day he'll thank you for calling him out, because by so doing, you are helping him, you are helping the society, you are saving at least a soul. And remember, karma is not a good person. I don't even want to use the B word today, because the things we allow to happen to other people, they have a way of coming back to us. Hence they say, the good you do comes back to you. The same as the bad you do comes back to you. So there are things that are not so good when you have to do them. They are painful when you have to do them, and they may cause damage to the friendship, but they absolutely have to happen. And after a period of time, the good comes back to you for doing those. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this video, sorry. And I just hope that it was more like, it hurts me. It takes the strength out of me a lot, because I'm passionate so much about this, because I had first-hand experience as a rape victim myself, and also as the mother of the victim. So each time I have to talk about this, like, I don't know, I can start now and end tomorrow, because there's just a lot to talk about. So we'll still talk about this. And remember, I did mention that I'm still new on the YouTube space, and bear with me. My videos are not so professional, but in time I will improve, and I assure you that they will get to that space where they need to be. For now, I'm still learning. While learning, thank you so much for being there for me. Thank you. Bye-bye.